Hello and welcome to MLT Opening 8.7. This time around, we have a total of 7 competitors. The first one being a Veterans Challenge submission, Argon Laser Cruisers with escort by skill, with 4 Laser Cruisers and 6 Guardian Corvettes. Next up, we have Federation First Contact by Cookie Creeper, which is a true Terran submission with a single capital. The third submission is Iron Star Crab, continuing with the Iron Star theme, is Joyous 18, a total of 10 ships, 1 main capital and an assortment of additional support ships, including some ships from the last tournament, or at least very similar. Fourth is Snowball Armada by Nighthawk, which is a Timpor submission with 1 main ship and a bunch of supporters. Actually, this one is the largest one. No, this one is. Well, it's a mixed bag. Then we have Totally Not Stolen by I Am Bob, which is his first submission to MLT, and it is a vanilla Terran submission, a single capital. Then comes Owl Feathers with Timpor Things, once again a Timpor submission, with 10 ships, and 2 major ships, with 8 smaller, well, I assume distractors. Last up, we have Spin to Win is a Lie, Rotate Me Harder Please, I guess, by MGV, which has a main Wheel of Unfortunate, supported by spammable distractors. He also has fancy colors in his names. The only change in the tournament rules from last time are the time limit, which has been reduced from 1 minute to 45 seconds. Without saying much more, let's get right into it. First up, we have Skill versus Cookie Creeper. Cookie Creeper brings quite powerful weaponry, but his range is limited. We can see Cookie Creeper quite easily ripping straight through the heaviest of the armor on the Laser Cruisers. Considering the Laser Cruisers do not have much in terms of heavy armor, that might be not much of an achievement, but well, he's definitely breaking these. However, the time limit does not allow for a slow and calculated destruction of Skill's fleet. I do now remember I have forgotten to review the fleets. So, Cookie Creeper's ship is, once again, creeper shaped, made mostly out of heavy alloy, and it has a very large array of the largest scale of kinetic cannons. He also brings a large shield for excellent protection against most weapon types. Then he has some extras in terms of bombardment missiles, rapid artillery, and 2 shotguns. On the other hand, we have a Skill with a now upgraded Laser Cruiser, with extra engine nacelles and some extra shielding on the wings, I believe. But I am not sure what else is changed. The main frame, well, the main frame, not the main frame, may be more armored than before, and there may be more shielding around the generators. Meanwhile, the support ships are new and bring 3 large shields as well as armor shield defended core, a large generator I believe, and well, a bunch of laser and kinetic cannon firepower. The time is running out, possibly too quickly, and Cookie Creeper is struggling to deal with all these ships with these slow firing kinetic cannons. The fact the kinetic cannons have to reload and use quite a bit of time to do so may be a downside in this case. Skill wins the first round on points. Now we have Skill versus Joyous 18. Here we have Bonk from the last tournament, a very DPS heavy submission. Then we have these, once again DPS based, but more armored and potentially survivable ships than the Bonk. Then we have some tiny distractor with what I believe to be a cannon. Yeah, we can see the cannon shot is larger than the ship itself. Next up we have the factory ships from last tournament, which are mostly armor and a factory, and then we have the new capital, which is very heavily armored and brings not much in terms of firepower. It seems to mostly be based around factory. And I believe that to be the whole submission. We can see Joyous has very fierce firepower, allowing him to quickly and in an agile fashion to rip through all of the enemies. The Veterans Challenge defense was completely useless and was quickly breaking through. The VC firepower can also not break through the timber armor in any capacity, since Joyous has quite decently armored ships. Well, one has broken, but it won't change the outcome. If Joyous can utilize the last 10 seconds effectively, it appears that losing some ships has caused some confusion for Joyous, so he lost the second round. Skill has once again lost ships quite rapidly. However, he doesn't seem to... Oh, and he won on elimination. The win went to Joyous. Now we have Skill versus Nighthawk. Here we have a known ship from the last tournament, which was the... not sure. It is definitely snow-based. Then we have a new factory ship using the mothership adjuster. Hopefully it will kite as it is meant to. Then we have a heavy distractor with lots of armor and Gatling guns. A smaller ship, probably skirmisher, with a plasma accelerator. And this larger ship with once again a plasma accelerator, but also some Gatling guns, what I believe to be cannons, and decent mobility. There are also some smaller distractors with plasma accelerators, which are a bit harder to notice. It might be that Nighthawk isn't bringing enough armor to block the laser arrays, which will definitely give him a disadvantage. Nighthawk may also lack the extreme firepower that Joyce had, which may make it harder to quickly and efficiently deal with skill. Nighthawk has made good progress, but there simply isn't enough time. Skill wins on points. Nighthawk has now lost most of his fleet, and skill wins on point. No, actually on elimination, and the win goes to skill. Now we have skill versus totally not stolen by I am Bob. This is an interesting submission with probably 10 times more power than it needs. Quite low firepower for the cost, decent thrust, and a station shield projector. The cost density is quite high, which means anything that can deal damage will quite quickly break this for its price. However, he does have lasers and flak, which may cut through VC. But VC may also cut through him with his low amount of armor. His generators have exploded. Totally Not Stolen has mostly dissolved at this point, and it has been destroyed. The first round goes to skill. The armor shield on skill's ships is making itself very useful. But Iron Bob is destroyed on elimination before we saw their full effect. So this time we have a very strange submission from Owlfeathers. First we have the Distractor, which has I believe it has some Gatling guns, and a lot of armor. These are clearly Distractor tanks. But the other ship in this submission is a very strangely shaped one. It has almost a snowflake on the front, with a large array of weaponry, possibly all plasma accelerators, and a core all the way back here, with a factory attached. The ship is strange and seems to want to exploit radius for AI stupidity. The majority of Skill's fleet wasn't spawned. Well, that is a problem. Well, the first round goes to Owlfeathers, but Skill's fleet isn't spawning right. Owlfeathers is quite quickly dealing with the small forces that Skill actually gets to spawn in, but unfortunately I cannot do anything with this. Unless I want to change the rules mid-tournament. Well, the win went to Owlfeathers. Partly unfair. Now we have Skill versus MGV. Both are Veterans Challenge. The small distractors utilize an armor shield to cover almost all blocks in a quite powerful but extremely tiny shield, which is why these ships are so incredibly stacked. And the main ship is a new take on the ziggurat, or something similar. We can see all emplacements, be it generators, core, or weaponry, are defended by armor shields to, well, provide some decent protection. There seem to be point defense lasers spread out through the craft. And over here we have thruster stacks. Yes, there appear to be a few thruster stacks on this ship, probably six. And in the middle we have this very stacked mass. Hyper stacked, I believe, with normal hull stacked around for extra defense, and a knockoff cube in the middle, protecting all the most important things, including the core. The core should be hard to break with these layers of defense. Oh, I forgot to mention, MGV does have rapid firing triple triple barreled cannons. That was their name. It doesn't really matter. It's the big cannon with 3 guns, which is why he makes this very nice, kind of Tinkerella-like spray of projectiles. It is quite effectively removing skilled ships with little effort, considering the cardboard armor. MGV has sustained extremely low damage and is very clearly winning on points with 1 second left. The first round goes to MGV. MGV's distractors quite quickly disappeared due to their small size and skill's use of lasers. The agility of the distractors isn't useful in this case. MGV seems to take a very defensive position in this fight, kiting quite a lot and having strong defenses. This may be related to the extremely short time limit of 45 seconds, meaning if MGV can retain his points for that small duration of time, he will likely win against non-veterans challenge. Meanwhile, the Fry Cannon quite easily ripped through any veterans challenge. MGV appears to win on points again, and the win goes to him. Now we have Cookie Creeper versus Joyous. Joyous's armor is causing resistance to Cookie Creeper. His damage per second may be too low, and it doesn't help that the majority of his firepower is being wasted on distractors. Joyous, on the other hand, has extreme firepower and quickly swarms his core, destroying him in the first round. In the second round, things do not look bright for Cookie Creeper. His single ship strategy is too susceptible to swarming, especially considering his slow response weaponry. Joyous's DPS tanks are making considerable progress on his core region, and Cookie Creeper explodes, giving Joyous the win. Now we have Cookie Creeper versus Nighthawk. Nighthawk is quite agile and may be able to dodge Cookie Creeper's firepower. Cookie Creeper's shield is causing some resistance, but it finally failed. Nighthawk is using all his firepower to try to break through Joyous, No, Cookie Creeper, apologies. Nightwalk is kind of fighting, causing reduced firepower, and Cookie Creeper wins the first round on sheer durability. And well, he did break some crafts. Cookie Creeper managed to destroy the ship with the mothership adjuster, very quickly ripping away roughly 2,000 points from Nighthawk, possibly sealing the win. Cookie Creeper's shield is once again quite powerful protection in this short time limit. It finally failed, but this is far too late. The win goes to Cookie Creeper on points. Now we have Cookie Creeper versus Iron Bob. The true Terran versus the vanilla Terran. Iron Bob does potentially have the DPS needed, but so does Cookie Creeper, quickly ripping through the weak armor that Iron Bob has. Iron Bob's range is also not great. We can see the kinetic cannons weren't even needed. The rapid artillery and shotguns were enough. And Owl Feathers versus Cookie Creeper didn't even happen. Okay, I guess that win goes to Owl. Now we have Cookie Creeper versus MGV. I will later have to possibly adjust the points certain competitors have received, since this is a problem when the competitor doesn't even spawn. We can see MGV making good progress on Cookie Creeper with his relatively high firepower. The distractors are doing their purpose, distracting Cookie Creeper into doing nothing useful. The first round goes to MGV on points. MGV is putting heavy firepower on Cookie Creeper's core region and wins on destruction. Now we have the two Timporus fight, Joyous 18 versus Nighthawk. Joyous has superior armor and firepower. Meanwhile, Nighthawk may have superior mobility, but it does seem that the firepower and armor does win out. Nighthawk is losing considerably on points. His crafts may be too fragile in these skirmish/brawler fights like this. And Nighthawk almost lost on elimination. We can see Nighthawk has lost considerable forces already. He is trying to break Joyce's main ship, but that failed when the support came in and destroyed that ship. Nighthawk barely survives with 60p but loses on points. Now we have Joyous versus Iron Bob. Iron Bob very quickly disappeared by destruction due to the very high firepower Joyous brings. The win goes to Joyous, both time on elimination. Now we attempt Joyous versus Alfeathers. And we meet the same issue. Most of Joyous's fleet has not been spawned in. Alfeather's fleet appears to take priority. And due to this, the scoring may be adjusted. Not sure. That would break with the rules. Joyous barely survives, but Alfeathers wins the first round. And this time the fleet didn't even spawn in. Alfeathers takes both wins in a controversial manner. Now we have MGV versus Joyous 18. MGV's distractors are definitely distracting. Joyous attempts to approach the spinner, but it quickly eats them away with its rotation. We can see the exterior light armor quite easily disappearing. The first round goes to MGV on points. In the second round, the distractors have not been as effective, and MGV is quicker taking some damage. MGV is taking considerable damage, and Joyous has a chance to break the core. And the second round goes to Joyous. He managed to break MGV's core. Somehow. In the second round, Joyous is not as lucky. The distractors were somewhat more effective, and Joyous has not been able to put a lot of damage into MGV. MGV's core region is intact, and will likely remain so until the rest of the match. And the win goes to MGV. Now we have Nighthawk versus Iron Bob. Iron Bob, with his low armor, is unlikely to survive for long. He lost the first round, and I assume Nighthawk is going in for a quick kill once again, which he did. Now we hopefully have Nighthawk versus owl feathers, which clearly didn't work both times. Now we have Nighthawk versus MGV. Nighthawk is being far too distracted by the distractors, and MGV's armor is mostly intact. Now, as the distractors are gone, Nighthawk is finally focusing down the main ship. But it may be too late. The core region is still intact, and MGV wins the first round on points. This time the distractors were dealt with quicker, which gives Nighthawk a better chance. MGV's exterior armor is falling apart, but MGV has still too much bulk to be broken in the last few seconds, giving MGV the win. Now we hopefully have Iron Bob versus Owl Feathers, which clearly didn't happen both times. And we go over to Iron Bob versus MGV. The station shield projector was as useless as always, just disappearing in the light weapon range. Well, light. Maybe it's not very light, but regardless, Iron Bob is falling apart. Iron Bob was now destroyed by distractors, giving MGV the first round. Once again, Iron Bob was destroyed by MGV before the time limit ran out. Oh, for once, someone else than Owl Feathers spawned in. MGV now has the, by far, most upper hand. I will likely do major changes to the rules for next tournament to prevent anything like this from ever happening again. This is a major problem, and there are likely quite a few of you which dislike the fact half of a fleet, or sometimes a whole fleet, simply doesn't spawn. The first round went to MGV, what I believe was on points. Owl Feathers now got a main ship in. MGV is leading massively on points and has not taken damage to the main ship yet. Alfeather's distractors are quite easily being destroyed by MGV. And the win goes to MGV on points. And this concludes this tournament. It was far too buggy, much more buggy than it should have been. These issues will be resolved. This cannot happen again. But the winners as it stands are MGV on first place, Alfeathers on second place, despite Alfeathers' exploits, and Joyous18 on third place. Since there aren't enough competitors, there won't be a champion pool, sadly. I hope you enjoyed this tournament, and I hope I will see you next time.